So this is how I like to make bake sale brownies, and it does start with a brownie mix or two. I'm using the Duncan Hines brownie mix. These are $1 at the grocery store, and I use the dark chocolate fudge and the chewy fudge brownies. I use one of each. Now these say that they're 9 by 13 family size, but when you get them done, they're this thick. I want my brownie to be thick, and I want it to be full of stuff. In place of the water, so I've got the two mixes. I'm using a cup of coffee. This is just brewed coffee left over from this morning. 2/3 of a cup of vegetable oil, 4 eggs, and 1 12-ounce bag of chocolate chunks. You can also put a 1.5 cups of chopped walnuts or pecans in here, but I'm not going to do today because my girls don't like nuts in their brownies. Rick likes nuts in his brownies, but these aren't just for him. So I went ahead and I've got, you know, you just mix these up as easy as can be. I'm gonna put the chocolate chunks in here and just kind of give them a toss, because even though I had these in my cabinet, it's still warm here and they seem to be a little stuck together. So I'm gonna go ahead and alleviate that by sticking them in the dry mix, and then they'll get coated and all broken up and dispersed properly. And you know how to make brownies from a mix. You just add everything. So in goes our 2/3 cup of oil.
And there's nothing wrong with the mix.
Absolutely not. It's pre-made, pre-measured dry ingredients. There's a cup of strong brewed coffee, 4 eggs, and then you just mix up. I do not use a mixer or a hand mixer when I mix brownies. It just, you don't need to. Brownie batter only needs to be stirred up until you don't see any more dry ingredients hanging out in there. Okay. And really, you can be the, decide how fancy you want to make these brownies. If you're making them for a bake sale, you can, like I said, add nuts. You can add like walnut halves or pecan halves, and extra. See how I had a pocket there? But that's okay, because that happens to everyone. So we're just gonna mix it up in the pan and it'll be fine. And I like to make sure I get all of my batter out as much as possible, because that's gonna make the brownies bake up really well. So look, if you get a little mix that didn't kind of come to the party on time, a little bit latecomer, just kind of make sure that you take your spatula and even it out and get everything moistened with the liquid ingredients. That's it. Happens to all of us from time to time. No worries. You want to bake these for 40 to 50 minutes. You'll know that they're done when the top is shiny and starts to crack ever so slightly. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees. And when you take it out of the oven, you're just gonna take like a steak knife and stick it right in the center. If it comes out with no wet batter, you're good to go. You can top this with nuts. You can top it with flaked sea salt. You could top it with more chocolate chips. You could top it with white chocolate chips. You can top it with peanut butter chips or dollops of peanut butter. You could put coconut on this. It would be great. So I'm gonna bake these off now, like I said, 40 to 50 minutes. I'll be back when they're done and I'll show you what they look like. There you have it. There are our, I mean, look at how beautiful and thick and big that brownie is. But that's how I made them. I hope it was helpful. If you, in the bowl, I have 2 sticks of butter, and that's a 1/2 pound or 1 cup of butter. And that is softened to room temperature. To that, I'm going to add 1 cup of brown sugar and 1 cup of granulated sugar. And we're going to put the color on and let this cream. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 eggs, 1 at a time, leaving space in between each addition for each egg to become fully incorporated. Alright, next thing we're going to do is, now if you are mixing by hand or have a different type of mixer, I highly recommend that you mix your baking powder, salt, cinnamon, nutmeg, and baking powder, salt, cinnamon, and nutmeg. That's all there's in there. In with your flour, and then just set it aside so it's ready to go. Today I'm going to just drop it right in. There's a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And I'm just going to go ahead and give this a whirl. And then it's going to start to smell really yummy. All right, now, don't worry about this because it'll get mixed in later. We're going to add our flour. We're going to use 2 cups of flour. I'm going to pulse this just to get it going. That's mixed in, and then we're going to use 3 cups of old-fashioned oats. You don't want to use instant oats or quick oats or anything like that. You want to use old-fashioned, long-cooking oats. So, 3 cups of those. And then I have 1 cup each of dark raisins and golden raisins. You can use any combination that you like. You can also sub out the raisins for dried cherries, dried cranberries, chopped up dates, whatever you like. I like the flavor combination of the dark raisins and the light raisins. I think they both bring something to the party, and truth be told, golden raisins are my favorite. And just mix that until those raisins get combined in there. Now we're ready to move on, and I'll meet you back here in just a second. I'm going to clear the mixer away, and I'm going to grab my scoop, and we're going to start scooping the cookies. Alright, I am going to scoop out my cookie dough, and I'm going to put 8 cookies per sheet. This recipe is going to render approximately 2 dozen cookies. Now, the oatmeal cookie dough can tend to be a little sticky, so you want to have I have a little jelly jar here full of warm water just to dip my scoop in, and this is a 1/4 cup scoop. And these are going to make a nice size puffy cookie that's full of, the raisins, and it's going to be full of cinnamon goodness, and you're going to love it, I promise. I have my oven preheated to 325 degrees. And we're just going to go ahead and pop this right on in there. These are going to bake for 18 to 20 minutes, or until the outer edges are lightly golden brown and the middles are puffy, and you're going to take them out. When it's time to do that, I'll bring you back. All of our cookies are done, they're cooled, and they're ready to enjoy. Not that my family hasn't already enjoyed them, because like I said about that first pan, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Quality control, we're all about that in this house. Yep. We would never ever tell you to make something if we did not first test it for you. These cookies...
We took one for you.
Like I said at the beginning of this video, these are my personal favorite. I love an oatmeal cookie, and this is chock full of raisins. And they're just perfect. I love these cookies. The bottoms are just ever so slightly browned. They're crispy on the outside edge. They're dense, moist, and chewy in the middle. And they're perfect.